but I'm not shopping. I am in the garage working on the Crazy Cayman build. And I just figured I would say hello and give you guys a live update. Jake Raby is going to be joining me again here. Since this is part of the M9 experience with him, and I am putting this kit together. So, hopefully, you guys have been following along and enjoying the build process. But I just wanted to kind of show you where I'm at. So I'm several videos ahead. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time Thanksgiving Day and a couple more hours today, and I'll continue this over the weekend. And I'm hoping that maybe by the end of the weekend, it could even be ready to put back in a car. So time will tell. And as long as I don't come across any big difficulties, it could happen. So this is where we are right now. It looks like a real engine. So we put our secondary air on and this bracket for the power steering pump today, as well as a bunch of our sensors and little parts around the engine. Um, yes, we got a rear main seal on, and yeah. So next steps are continue to put stuff around the top of the engine. Um, but yeah, it is almost a complete engine. And so what I've been doing is going back and forth between my teardown video. Oh yeah, that's what my engine used to look like. I don't know if you guys remember, but kind of disgusting. So a little bit nicer now. So I'm going between my engine teardown and my 997 build videos because they are slightly different engines with slightly different pieces in different areas. So while I remembered a lot about the 997, I had forgotten where a lot of the Cayman pieces went. Like on the 997, there's a hard hose that comes out of here that has a bracket that you have to fold back over and reattach under those bolts. And on this engine, I look back and there's a plastic like quick connect that goes on there when I put the car back in, when I put the engine back in the car. So um, I just sent an invite out to Jake. So Jake will probably be joining me here any minute now. And I'll catch him up with where I am and see if he has any other advice for me as I continue on here. So thanks for joining me live, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you're out there watching now. Helps the channel and lets me bring you lots of this fun content. So I'm having a good time on my second engine build. It's a little bit less stressful this time than it was the first time, mostly because it's in my garage and I can do it at my leisure, I think. And I have a little bit more confidence after doing one already. Um, but yeah, it's very similar engine, but there were a lot of differences this time. So it has been fun. So yeah, I guess you guys can let me know in the chat what you guys want to see, or if you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Let me know what's going on out there in the world while we wait for Jake. He should be here momentarily. I think I can see the chat on my phone if somebody says something, but I'm not sure. Anyway, this is these covers are pretty cool. I got these when I bought that Boxster engine. They came on it to keep debris out, so that's better than the blue tape. Well, it looks cooler anyway. But yeah, so here are my bins now. This one was full of bolts and parts. And yes, look at that. It's empty. We just have some bolts that went on the bank one head that were replaced with new bolts. This was completely filled with parts. We are down to just a couple parts left. This box was full of parts, completely empty. So I still have some new gaskets and stuff down in there. And let's see, what other new parts do I have? I have a brand new oil cooler. I have some brand new hoses. I have this sensor and drain plug hose. Yeah, we are just about at the end. So very exciting. Oh, and I have all of these parts along my wall that are going to go back on here. I and my wife both cannot wait to get this crap off my floor. We'll be doing a different way next time. Oh, here comes Jake. Let me add Jake. Hey, Jake. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. What's going on, man?
Same thing as you, building engines, nothing new.
Yeah, I'm doing a different type.
Oh, yeah. That one looks fancy. Yeah.
Version of these 914 engines. Build them big. This is a 2.6 liter. It'll give a 356 160 extra horsepower over stock. So
Hmm. All that cool air cooled stuff.
yeah. So it looks like you're making progress there. You're
Yeah,
ready to add all the crap on top. It appears.
exactly. Yeah. This was the first one. I was sad to put it on because it's all disgusting and nasty. And I didn't want to vapor hone that one because I figured there's probably some places I don't want glass beads in there.
Yeah, that's where the stuff gets ugly. So
Yep.
yeah. I've been working on some stuff. So remember, I told you I've been working on a lot of stuff actually, a lot of really cool stuff. So this spacer, which is actually an adapter,
Hmm.
will bolt the 997 3.8 Carrera S intake onto that engine as a direct bolt on. So
Ooh.
uh, made those right there in my Haas. So yeah, that's a cool thing, and I've got to get it on the flow bench. I've actually already got one running. I actually built one and put it on my test car before I even put it on the flow bench to see what it did.
Hmm.
But that's a cool thing, to be able just to bolt that sucker right on and have everything aligned the proper way. It's actually the cheapest way to get a better intake, even easier than all the pieces we made with the billet runners and all those pieces. So
So it's a spacer that goes here and it lets you put the Carrera uh, intake on instead of this one over here.
yep,
Okay.
yep. So of course that comes with a set of other issues as far as some clearance and stuff goes. Not much. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some Caymans are worse than others with that, according to what you're using for a throttle body and plenum and stuff. But it can certainly work, and the Carrera S intake is the best thing from the factory, other than the factory X51
Hmm.
um, setup, which is of course adds a whole nother dimension to things. Or of course, it's a lot cheaper than doing my version, which is up there.
Yeah. It looks cool though.
Yeah, it does. So just doing a lot of development with that. Just doing crazy stuff. Trying to I've developed 36 products this year.
Wow.
So,
That's impressive.
yeah,
Just
some simple, some not. Everything from a intake spacer to a billet cylinder head for air cooled stuff. Um, but
I like
anyway,
I liked your little oil fill project on the 3D printer. That was pretty cool. The thing that screws on attaches to the oil cap.
yeah, well, my daughter was in the hospital. I just decided to sit there, and so I just used CAD and CAM the entire time she was in the hospital for 4 days. So
Yeah.
I got like 11 different things cammed out ready for the machine, and came up with that oil fill funnel and just a bunch of crazy stuff, some simple stuff, some fixtures, some tools. The cool thing is I was able to run both the 3D printer and my milling machine from the hospital. I just told my employee, hey, go stick a piece of stock in here, give me a couple of dimensions, and I was machining stuff from the hospital. And then I did the
Nice.
same thing with a 3D printer. So as long as somebody was here to take things out, I was able to keep working and keep trucking. So
Gotcha.
that was cool at least. But she's back home now and still on crazy antibiotics and all that stuff. But anyway, she's
Yeah.
she's she's bouncing back slowly after 5 months. So
Well, that's good. We're definitely wishing her the best. She's had a rough time there for a while now.
yeah, for sure. So as far as what you got going on, I mean, obviously these next stages, you've already done a lot of this stuff with the 997. Um, Ultimately, what you have to understand is, this is kind of a critical thing because you don't want vacuum leaks.
Hmm.
Check your vacuum canister really close, make sure it doesn't have any cracks in it. Um, you know, be really conscientious of fastener control. I see that you have, intakes are blocked up. Keep them that way. When those intake covers come off, put your eyeballs in those ports. Verify that there's no foreign object debris, and then put the intake straight on it. I can't tell you how many times fastener control or lack thereof has bitten somebody. Um, it's something that I've only made that mistake one time in all my years, and you make that mistake once.
Yeah.
I learned it from working on aircraft where foreign object debris is like, it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But I think faster control and then just making sure you've got all your vacuum lines plumbed correctly. Everything's set up where you don't have any vacuum leaks anywhere, and smoke test the intake and the crankcase both
Hmm.
before you even think about putting it in the car.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. Very, very good advice. Yeah, I'll probably get back to you once I'm at that stage to get some more advice on that. Trying to find that tool. Well, one thing I did is I went ahead and ordered this from LN, the tool to put this front seal on, just because it's only $25 right now, and it seems to be the only way to go.
It is. I mean that's definitely the best way to go. I'm looking for something here. If I have it in this one of these drawers, here it is. There is the prototype of that tool from 22 years ago. I still
Nice.
use it, but look how worn out it is.
Yeah. It's got some wear. Yeah,
So I
so I was gonna.
made that on a 1912 Hindi lathe that I still use,
Wow.
because that tool never existed. And also, same thing on the one for the that holds the intermediate shaft when you're doing assembly. That's the prototype of that tool made on the same
Yeah.
lathe.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so the tool that I have that came with this thing with the three holes in it, I was going to ask you while I had you on the phone, the best way to use that, because what I tried to do originally was, got the bolt in here, and I had the tool on the front of it, and I had this breaker bar in that square peg. So is it pretty much just a two-person job? One person holds that tool, and the other person tightens the bolt and goes
pretty much, because
110
if
degrees.
yeah, and the thing is, if you're in the car, it's actually easier because you can jam the tool against something in the car.
Yeah.
But it is definitely easier as a two-person job to do that. And that's the thing. I mean, ultimately, a lot of people don't realize this, but you're not supposed to torque that front pulley using the pin that goes in the crankcase for camshaft timing. That is not what you do that with. It'll break the
Oh
block.
yeah. I knew that was a no-no, so I did not
Yeah.
attempt that.
So there's other tools that we make. I'll show you the actual and I'm actually making a few of these tools in the next couple of weeks to bring these kits back, because we haven't had these for a while. But this kit is what you need because it has that front seal tool. It has the IMS tool. It
Mhm.
has the tools that hold the cylinder deck to the carrier,
Oh, yep.
the cam timing tool for the bank two, and
Hmm.
this is the go no go gauge for the rear main seal.
Hmm.
Um, this is the tool for doing the in play. The dial indicator goes on that, but the most important one here this bolts onto the crankshaft so you can torque things on the front of the engine without putting any stress on that boss that I talked to you about. So this bolts on the crank. This bolts to one of the bell housing bolts, and then you don't have to worry about that problem. You see.
Yep. Yeah, so I had to do a makeshift one of those things, but yeah, I definitely need a real one because let me see if mine is over here. I can't wait to get all of this stuff done and clean up my garage because it's a disaster. But yeah, I don't even see it right now. But I have I think it's in my tool box of the other stuff. It is, here's this tool that I was looking for. So yeah, this is the one that you hold the front of this on with. So yeah, so it goes on
So
like
what
the
you can do is
bottom.
just get a long breaker bar and put it in that tool. That's the way we designed it.
Yep, that's what I did. So we're holding it like this, and then one person holds the breaker bar, and then the other person tightens the bolt. So
Yeah.
all right, yeah, good times. Yeah, so I guess just all my stock parts are going to go back on next. Nothing exciting or special. I do have the Ultimate AOS, so I'll be doing that one instead of a stock AOS, I assume.
That's the way to go, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get that back on. Yeah, everything else seemed to be going smoothly. So
Yeah, like I said, I think your major thing is
yeah. Mhm. Yep.
when and actually, since you're going to go and do this, I can send you a 3D print file for this you can make on your bamboo. Um, this is a part that
Uh,
I'll see if I can find one. Right here it is on top of the flow bench. So if you go to this,
mhm.
and this is the changeover valve, right?
Mhm.
They all have a vacuum leak right here. All of them do, right? Because there's a little bushing there, and as this changeover valve operates, it wears that out. Well, so this is one of my prototypes. So basically, I just made a little tool, a little block off that goes over that. Okay.
Hmm.
See if I can stand this up here real quick. Um, but it just pops right over this with an O-ring. Oh, damn it! And it seals it off.
Hmm.
So you'll notice when you smoke test it, you're going to have a vacuum leak there. One of the easiest products I've ever made, but every
Yeah.
one of these engines needs that. But we're making them at LN right now. They're making 500 of them, and I've actually got the finished unit in here. But that's something I can send you a file to. And
Okay.
since we don't have them made yet, you can just make you one and
Awesome.
plop it right on there. So it doesn't have to be aluminum. The 3D printed one works fine. I've had a 3D printed one on my car for a few months, but it gets rid of a vacuum leak completely.
All right. So you put an O-ring in there with that part then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There's an O-ring inside of it. Let me see if I can show you.
It looks like I see one in there.
No, the O-ring goes in my part that I'm going to show you here.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like this had one, but I guess it's not an O-ring, is
No,
it?
it doesn't. It's always just been open.
Gotcha.
This fits really tight, by the way. There it is. But see, there's an O-ring inside this.
Okay.
See,
So just find
so
the right size O-ring and throw that in there.
yeah, I can tell you about what size O-ring it needs. But
Okay.
this is, like I said, every car out there needs this damn thing. They all have a vacuum leak, and it's not just these. It goes all the way back to 993. Right?
Hmm.
They started using the same setup in 993s, and they always leak. That's
Hmm.
what gave me the idea to do it. Is because I've done this for 993s, and I just made it on the lathe,
Hmm.
and because with those they're old enough, it can actually be a significant vacuum leak. Sometimes with these, it's just enough to kind of piss you off.
So what's the
You know.
intention of that? What did you say the intention of this thing was?
Well, it's a changeover valve. So as the RPM changes, there's a flap inside
Hmm.
that will open that secondary air tunnel up.
Hmm.
So at low speed, it's in one position, and at wide open, it's another position.
Oops.
So, but that bushing is what allows it to articulate, basically.
Oh, I see. So this is just where it pivots on.
Exactly. But it
Gotcha.
wears out because that thing's constantly moving as you're driving the car. See?
Interesting. I never paid attention to that thing. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, you can tune the engine some with it. Some people make a bigger deal out of it than it actually is. There is some power to be found with it, and there's even some power to be found playing with that different changeover valve. I've used smaller ones and larger ones than stock. I've also omitted them before,
Hmm.
and I've even done things like drill a hole in the middle of them before.
So I guess this side is more sealed. Not really. It's not really more sealed. So this side might leak a little too. Then
It,
I'm
it
sure.
really doesn't. That side actually is really not a problem. The other side
Hmm.
is where they always will leak smoke.
Hmm. Okay.
Here's one of the
Cool.
oil fill funnels.
Yep.
So it goes
Understood.
right on the deck lid, right on top of the oil filler, and there's no way to spill oil. It even uses a stock oil cap seal, so it
That's
seals
cool.
off perfectly.
Nice.
I mean, simple little stuff. Sometimes, I mean, when you're sitting at the hospital and you're bored, um, it's amazing the things you can come up with.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I think I'm just going to continue on then. Yeah, I was mentioning earlier before you got here, I'm going back and forth between. I made a video series on removing my engine and taking every piece off of it, and you can see how disgusting, of course, my engine used to be. Um, but yeah, I documented every single part that I took off in order, and I put it in baggies, and I numbered the baggies, and so it's making it much easier to go back and find everything. The thing that's taking the most time is like this little piece that I put on here. I had to vapor hone it and all of the bolts and the hardware and this little, I guess it's like a heat shield or something, whatever that thing is. So I've gone around and vapor honed like every bolt and part that I've reused and put back on here. So that takes the time.
That's what I like, though. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the same way. I mean, I'll flip you around and show you this. I mean, you know, I replayed all the hardware. These
Hmm.
are 50-year-old fasteners.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it makes the difference with when you're doing things. I mean, when I see people that are, and this happens in the production world when people are worried about getting more done, right?
Hmm.
There's none of this. I see people's work areas and I'm like, that would drive me crazy. When I see their work and I see that the fasteners are rusted and they put them back together, just whatever. I mean, but that comes with some risk too, because when you're doing this, everything has to be exceptionally cleaned
Hmm.
after you media blast it or after you vapor hone it, because
Yep.
it does surface contaminate things. So that's
Mhm.
why I've got three ultrasonic cleaners in the back, and I do a rinse with ultrasonics, and then sometimes I neutralize parts after we've plated them and doing all this. So, it adds another dimension to it, not just doing the vapor honing, but then cleaning it up afterwards.
Yep.
But to me, that's the difference between a craftsman and
Mhm.
just somebody who is a paid wrench that just puts things together. And I'll tell you, I've trained people to do this. And either you have it or you don't, right? Either you are methodical and meticulous and you are a craftsman or you're not. There's no in between. Some people, you can't keep them from being pigs. Other people can't be a pig if they try. Um,
Yeah, it hurts my
it's just
heart. It hurts my heart to put a bolt on that's all dirty and disgusting. So I was like, no, we got to go vapor hunt this one, clean it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way with me. I mean, it's always been that way. That's why, I've always been the person that was never about how much work we do. It's how
Mhm.
well the work is done and how much it doesn't have to be redone again. To
Yep.
me, it's not how many you do; it's how many you don't redo. Right. So I had somebody ask me the other day, well, you did this. How about disassembly of that? I don't give a damn about disassembly. If I do my job the right way, this engine may never come back apart until people don't drive cars again,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it's like this part here. I couldn't vapor hunt it, but I had to vapor hunt the bolt at least before I put it back in.
Yeah, and all that, like the alternator, secondary air, all that stuff, you can't get any
No.
media by it at all, and it just makes everything get
Yeah.
get really dirty.
Yeah, that's gonna suck when I have to put that nasty thing back
Yeah.
on.
Well, like with an R series, I mean, I go through and I do clean those up. I take the whole starter apart, and I vapor hunt it, and put it back together again. I mean,
Yeah.
but they take months,
Yeah.
months and months to do. And I don't even know how much time I've got in one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um, but like an engine like this one behind me, I'm setting at 100 hours in this already, and I'm just now ready to put the ancillaries on it.
Hmm. Yep.
And this one here, yeah, 230 hours in that one,
Holy
and
cow.
I'm not done yet. But it's a 4.1993 engine. And everywhere I look, I can show you something else. This is the same way. Hell,
Yep.
here's something for you right here.
Mm, that
You have to see
is.
what those started out like when I first got them. They
Yeah.
came off of a Shelby a GT 500 originally, and they look like you pulled them off the bottom of the ocean floor. And I've got to put them on my 1930 Ford supercharged 327, actually supercharged 383. I keep trying to say 327, but it's a 383. It's the only domestic car I have. But time is time, um, and it's the one thing we don't get back. So when somebody pays me for something, I want to make sure that they got the best I can give them.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Jake. I will get back to it then, and I will get back a hold of you if I have any more questions along the way, or once all this crap is back on it and it looks ugly again.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, situational awareness. Make sure you don't drop anything in the intakes. Also make sure you clean up inside those intakes very well. I've seen these engines that failed, and inside the top of those M97 intakes, you'll see baffles at the top of the plastic pieces. I've seen debris
Hmm.
get caught in those baffles.
Hmm.
Um, so you want to clean that exceptionally well.
These guys here. Yep.
Yep. Look at the top of it. See those holes?
Yeah.
No, inside. You look right at all that.
Oh yeah.
People don't realize that's in there,
Hmm.
and it can hold debris. That's a big deal. Um,
What do you use
and
to clean yours with?
I put it in my ultrasonic, and then it's like
Ultrasonic.
brand new.
Okay.
Um, but if you don't have that, I mean, sometimes take it to a pressure washer to it.
Yeah, I got an ultrasonic
Is it big
from.
enough to fit that?
Uh, let's find out. It's
If you need a bigger
close.
ultrasonic, I've got a one like mine that the guy gives good deals to people I send his way. So
Let's see.
I think
I
it'll
can do.
fit.
I can do half of it and then half of it at least. I can flip it
Yeah,
over.
that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
do that.
that should work.
Yeah.
I guess I just need to take that little guy off first.
Yep, and pay attention to all that now. And
Yep.
like a lot of all those little check valves and things are all one way. So you got to make sure you get them
Hmm.
all right. You have weird codes.
Yep. Cool.
And then another big thing is any fuel that's left in that fuel tank, drain it completely and flush some new fuel through the system before you put that engine in the car because it's been
Oh,
off the
yeah.
road a long time.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, that was fun. I still have all my old fuel from the 997. I got to put it in a lawnmower or something still.
All right, I got to get back to it, man. But
All
yeah,
right.
that's the thing: situational awareness, faster control, and smoke testing. That's your big three things.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks,
All
Jake.
right. Yep. See ya. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.